Today's guest is a lovely, lovely woman, Melissa Korda. I'm so thrilled to have her here because so often we hear stories of success and building businesses and creating wealth, and it can sound like it's this straight linear line. And I'm really about bringing people on to share the real stories and the real lessons and the things that they go through and the human experience that goes along with building wealth and creating your business to serve your life. So that's what we're going to dive into today. Hey, you leader, entrepreneur, business owner, solopreneur, whatever you call yourself, we know you're a visionary business builder, wealth seeker looking to combine a passion for doing good with leading consciously. It's time to shift from a traditional focus of pure wealth accumulation to one that integrates well-being and fulfillment. You're here for a purpose, and it's time to shine your light. So here we go. Welcome back to the Conscious Edge podcast. I'm your host, Alicia St. Germain, founder of the Conscious Edge, where I help women entrepreneurs get out of their own way so they can live a more joyful life and love the journey along the way. Melissa Korda, it is so great to have you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
We have been trying to have this conversation for so long.
I know. I'm excited to be here today, though.
Lifes. And that's where I'm so glad that we just kept following up with each other and we could get you here. So, Melissa, I'm going to have you first tell everyone what you do right now to support other real estate investors. You're a real estate investor yourself, and you support other real estate investors. So nobody can say it better than you. Let me have you tell everyone what you do for investors now.
Okay. And I have it's a crazy journey where I'm at right now and how amazing it is. So you'll probably be like, whoa. But prior to COVID, I had a full-time W-2, a complete different career, something that I saw the end result, like I knew where I was going. I knew I was going to retire. And then COVID hit. But during that, we did flipping. That was my thing. Like we both had W-2s. So it was something I enjoyed doing on the side. I could just turn my real brain off and just go do the fun stuff. And I really, really liked that. COVID, coming from the Seattle area, COVID really shut us down. So the flipping stopped, right?
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, I'm now a lender. So now I do hard money lending and basically support investors that did what I did for 10 plus years. And it's funny how more fulfilling it is now to be where I'm at than it was prior. So it's, things are brought to you that I think we sometimes are resistant for. But yeah, so now instead of investing in the actual hands-on stuff, we ended up holding, I think, 3 of our rentals. And then, I know we held 3 of our rentals. We held 5 and then offloaded 2 after COVID. And so now I just do passive stuff or some equity positions that I found interesting.
The evolution of it all.
Yeah.
And if you're new here, I want to first welcome any new listeners and remind you to hit the follow or subscribe button, leave a review so that we can find out from you what your thoughts are and keep doing these. It really helps us be discovered by more people and help us bring more leaders to the table. And if you've been here for a while, you know I love you, and I am so glad you're back this week. So I want to ask you, Melissa, there's so many things, so many places to go, and there's this evolution from what was it like for you being, you said, kind of forced into something new that you were resistant to, and it's actually ended up being one of the biggest gifts and really you talk about it like it's a calling, like you love to do this with investors. So what was the resistance like?
Well, just to be real, because that's what we're doing here, it was terrible. So I'm a Mexican Italian. So I'm from a heritage of women should be moms and wives. And I never was told like, go live your dreams. Like, that's not what I was told as a kid. I was more told like, what are you doing? You want to go to college? Like, you play soccer? All the women in my family were like, oh no, this one, we've lost her. And so I had a big burden, I felt, to really prove my family, my culture that, like, as women, I can do this and eventually find a husband and a family and kind of do it all. Like, I knew I could do it. I had this burning desire to do it. So I really fought. So after college, I went to college, got a master's degree, started in an industry in pro sports. And as a woman in that industry, it's very difficult. It's just, again, another avenue where you're working in male dominated area. I'm 5'4". Back then I had bleach blonde hair. So I didn't make it easier for myself per se, but I worked really hard. So this thing, when COVID hit, this thing I had was like everything. I ended up getting married. I had 4 children and I was succeeding. So when COVID came and stripped that from me, I felt a death to me. I really felt like I went through mourning. But looking back, I feel like it was also like God was basically saying, well, if you won't listen to me, then I'm going to hit you really hard and knock you down, and then you're going to have to figure it out.
Did you keep having these thoughts to do this, to do what you're doing now?
No, not at all.
You just weren't. I just wondered, like, what do you mean, like knocking you down harder and harder? Like, had you been getting inklings or
No,
go ahead.
I feel like COVID just came in and was like, if
Nope, this
you
is
want to keep,
not what I have planned for you. And
no,
I'm going to make this
no.
really obvious.
I think I wasn't hearing it because I had 4 kids and I worked a
Mm-hmm.
60 to 80 hour job. And that's where I put my time and energy. And little kids, like I think when I retired in 2010, they were, well, probably, yeah. In 2010, I retired from the WNBA. And then from then until COVID, I was working to be a GM. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there were signs and I just ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
So COVID hit. Basically, I'm a stay-at-home mom for kids that I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom for. And I had to really like go through some mom guilt about that. And I was
Mm-hmm.
honest about it.
I talked about that a few episodes ago. I did an episode about what I wish I had known as a mom. And I talked about like that when you're at home with your kids, there are,
Yeah.
People are home with their kids and you want to be working in the world and doing something
Yep.
in the world. And you feel guilty that you don't want to be at home. Like that's a whole thing, right?
It's a whole thing. And then you feel terrible because these are things you created. Like you begged God for a healthy baby. And this is your whole, what you say is your world. You would die for this thing, but you won't teach it third grade math or PE in your kitchen. We were struggling during COVID, but I think I needed some humility. I think I needed to, like, I was not living the life that I was supposed to live. I was perfectly content with like my mom and nannies and cooks and people helping me. And I saw that as success because I was like, oh, I'm living it. I can afford this life. And like, my kids are amazing. I'm amazing. Husband's amazing. But it wasn't. It was just for show because I didn't have a great relationship with them. Obviously, like I wasn't home a ton. It was really hard. It wasn't what I wanted for them because I know women do it. It just wasn't what I wanted for with them. But I didn't realize that until you have everything stripped away and you really have to have that conversation with yourself in the car when you have nowhere to go, but you don't want to go home and it's in the middle of a pandemic and you just have to, like, I had to sit there and go, what do I do? Like, I can't keep driving. Like, I have to go home eventually. And so then I did a wine Zoom with some friends and they were like, Melissa, stop whining, get a job. And it was like, well, what do you do? And somebody was like, I flipped a house in Texas and Connectus is my lender and they're hiring and Brenda is my loan officer. She's an amazing caller. So sure enough, I called her and at 40 years old, I became an entry level loan assistant to somebody who was probably 10 years younger than me. She was amazing. She taught me everything I knew, which was nothing about lending at the time. And I think I was her assistant for like 9 months and just realized like I really did love this kind of connection with people. Working for privileged athletes or pro athletes is not as fulfilling as working with a mom that just quit her 9 to 5 that is trying to build wealth through real estate, or a dad that is trying to support his family and doesn't want to keep working a 9 to 5. Like that is way more rewarding than it ever was working with pros. It wasn't as famous, but it's definitely way more rewarding. But I had to like let go of everything, every pride I had, everything in my brain that was like, this is what you're going to do when you retire. And yeah, I had to like submit to just be like, I know nothing, teach me everything, when I was a manager and a director and lived at the top of it. So I think that was probably the best process I've ever had to go through, because it's no longer, you're not relying on everything I've done in my life. You are just relying on a desire to succeed at what you're doing right then. And I've learned that it's pretty powerful to have nothing and to just be like, I guess it's like that thing where Grant Cardone did that, where he pretended to be poor and like he'd lived that life and he'd been there. He's at the top, right? But he put himself down in a different position. And it's so humbling, and it's actually kind of powerful to just to see like what your desires actually are. Like, are they to succeed at whatever you can do? Or is it the fame and the fortune? And was that really important? And obviously for me, it wasn't. And I think for most of it, it wasn't, but it's scary. I mean, it was the most scary, humiliating thing. My entire team is probably like 10 to 15 years younger than me because it's a sales team. But I learned so much from them. Like they're all teaching me AI and stuff. So yeah, yeah. So I have, it's crazy where I'm at now to where I was. If I could snap, people ask like, would you want it back? And I like legitimately believe if I could snap my fingers and be right back to where I was, like nothing paused, like kind of like Avengers, I for sure wouldn't do it. I am so
Yeah.
much happier. I believe where I'm at is where God really intended me to be. I think I'm just stubborn. So,
Well, and so I talk about this all the time, and it happens so often to people in their late 30s to 50s. I would say that's when typically people come to work with me
mm,
because something's amiss. And
yeah,
it's like, I did everything that looks good on paper. I should be happy, and I'm not.
yeah,
And I don't understand why. I feel like sometimes it's like I know what I want to do, and sometimes it's I think I know what I want to do, but really it comes down to the fulfillment, right?
yeah,
And finding the purpose in what you're doing. But everything that you did up to that point, you use those skills.
absolutely. Yeah,
So none of that time is wasted. It's you have amassed all the lessons that you maybe probably needed in order to really appreciate this next phase in your life, right?
yeah. So that's the cool thing is my trajectory here, I've been very successful. And people in our company are like, wow, like you've done so much coming from nothing in like the lending world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've said a couple times, it's not that this is a sales job, right? You have to learn your product and learn what you're selling and be able to sell that, right? But I think what I came in at 40 with that, some of the younger people are what I learned from my 20s to my 40s was all these building blocks of customer service, relationships, how to handle different personalities, my multitasking skills. Like those are amazing, but those things that you don't realize how applicable they are to other things. So I spent a lot of time of like, okay, this is what I used to do over here and it worked similar but different. We'll plug it in and apply it over here. And that I found like, so you're so right. Like I starting something new without some basic skills of like what I had built over time, it'd have been a lot harder. So I'm definitely grateful for the journey that I went through. 100%.
Yeah. But you wouldn't go back. I always say, like, I would never, like,
No.
I would love to go back and have my 20-year-old physical body self, but I would never go if I couldn't take everything I know now.
Oh my gosh, no. And the crazier thing is raising kids. And I have 21-year-old and then twins that are 19 and then a 13-year-old. So that, oh my gosh, from like 17 to now to where they're at now, the lessons I want to tell them, I'm like, don't do that, or this is what I did wrong. Like, it's crazy to see. Well, first off, the new generation is complete new ball game. I now start to say, like, when I was younger, I mean, you think you'll never say that, but oh my God. I mean, and my parents, their big shell shock was my parents couldn't set up the answering machine for the life of them. And God forbid they figure out how, I mean, we had pagers. So, like, when the
I
cell
know.
phone came out, like,
I know. I had this revelation that I'm older than Google.
oh my gosh, that's, well, somebody said something, they're like 20 years ago. And then they said it was something, so, oh, you mean like in 2005?
I
Oh,
know. 20 years ago, it's like 1980.
yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, like way long time ago. But no, that's 2005. Like, to
Yeah.
think in my head, I've been alive for 45 years. Like, ask me at
Mhm.
20, I'd be like, oh, you're old. And
But
this
it's
is
not.
like, I
But it's
was
not.
so, yeah, it's
Right?
not. It's not. But the things with the boys, it's crazy what the life skills that I'm trying to like start to pick and choose. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is actually way more important than what I thought what I grew up with, or what we kind of ingrained to teach our kids as like, as your culture goes by. And like, especially because mine went to public school and then some of them did private school. So to see the differences of what each demographic gets taught, and then really like, I mean, I've had the hard conversation of, I have one that went to trade school, and his older brother is graduating from university this year and is going to be a police officer. And this one is like, and they kind of, when they're home for Christmas, this one will go, oh yeah, like you didn't even go to college. And this one was just like, oh yeah, all you do is party at your frat. So they kind of like one up each other, like who's who. And I literally, one time though, I could tell the little one was just annoyed because my oldest is very quick and he can get them good. And I was just like, dude, watch, you're probably going to be the most successful. You don't need college. Like, your path needed trade school, and we need tradespeople. And AI might have eliminate everything Cyrus is working on because he's in computer tech stuff.
Well, not to freak you out, but I just heard a statistic. Well, a new study just came out at Stanford that the computer sciences and computer engineering has the highest unemployment rate right out of college.
I know.
And some of those, when I was in school, like people who went to like get an English degree or a history degree, they had higher unemployment rates, and they now have like much lower unemployment rates.
Oh, I didn't
And I'm
know that.
assuming because there's probably some pieces of like education. There's like a very much a shortage in teachers and education.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because the conversations at our dinner table too, when we talk about like success and money and building wealth, have shifted from you got to go to college, which was the push when we were kids,
Yeah.
to you might not need to go to college. It might not be the best path for what's needed in
Yeah.
society. So
But it's crazy saying that, right? Because
it feels
if
so wrong.
it does, because back in my day, in our day, when there was no power, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
If you didn't go to there was two groups, those that went to college and were successful, and then those that didn't go to college. And it's sad
Uh-huh.
because like I could look back, and the ones that went to college and had all this glory are not as successful as, I mean, it's just it's reality. Like, in my world, it's kind of not like that. And now you see more and more kids just, they're it's good though, because I think like that's not fair, because if I look at the three kids I have, two should never go to college. Like, that would never ever be a positive thing for them. So I'm glad that they live in a culture where it's not the only way to succeed, because
Yes.
that would have been a failure right off the bat for them. Where the other one, he's not that brain. So like, he had to go to college and figure out his next steps in life because his brain was very analytical and just different.
There's a
So
need for both. Yeah. So it's
yeah,
not
oh,
against one of the, it
100%.
just depends on what you want to do in the world. Right. And so,
Yeah.
especially when we look at the entrepreneur's path, like I went to college, I'm not doing anything of what
I know.
I learned in college. It's all things that I have learned outside of college
Yeah.
that
No.
really have formed where I've come to today and what I've learned in the journey that I'm on, and still continuing to learn
Yeah.
and beyond. Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. I would love to know, what do you want investors to know? Like, what do you not get to say enough that you wish people knew?
Oh, that's it. There's a couple different groups of people in the investor world that there's things I wish I could say. But I think for this platform and kind of like who you're with your audience, I think one thing that my story, I always, when I share it, people are like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? How did you start over? And in my case, I didn't have a choice. So I was just kind of forced to figure out life, right? But I should have done it sooner. And so I think like some people in this industry, I see a lot of sitting and waiting. I go to tons of events and you see people at the same events and you're like, how's it going? What's going on? And they're like, well, I joined this mentorship and I'm like, oh, and in my head, I'm like, I think that's the third mentorship they've done. Or, I'm like, okay, what deals are you working on? Like, where did we get from last year? And well, I'm still looking for them. It's hard to find deals. And then vice versa, there's people that are jumping right off the boat and they're like, oh, I found a deal. I lost, I didn't make as much as I wanted, but I learned a lot. And I think,
That's what I was going to ask you, because you're lending on these
yeah.
deals. So are deals hard to find?
So right now we're busy. Oh my gosh, we're super busy. So they're out there. People are finding them. I think the good old days is gone. Like I do think you're going to have to, the numbers are higher everywhere pretty much, but my really experienced investors are not shying away from that. You're still making good spreads. You're still doing great deals. I think the risk tolerance though for entering is higher. I just think with our economy and kind of like what we're all going through, those newbies are not jumping in as quickly as they were like say a couple years ago. But then you're stuck in that proverbial like, how many mentorships do I do? How long do I learn and grow for till I actually like dive in and apply things versus jumping in way too fast and being like over your head in what you're doing too. So it's kind of there's like one group or the other.
So there's like a happy medium,
There,
right?
there is.
So
There is.
why do you think people hesitate so long from time to time? I mean, I have my thoughts as the
Yeah.
mindset coach here, but what are
Yeah.
you seeing?
So when people talk to me about like why they passed on a deal, it's not because the deal was bad, right? Like most of the time, people are passing because they're like, oh, my numbers didn't pencil, or, and I've penciled these same numbers too. Like, I don't want to take on a bad deal either. And I feel like a lot of it is just people don't want to take risk or the risk tolerance is super low. And that's appreciated, right? Because like as a lender, we're probably the least risky people in the world. Like, I mean, me personally, I'd be like approval, but our underwriters are like, that one's not going to work. So I appreciate like the diligence and like obviously that's important. But I do think in this industry, in this time of life we're in, this whole game is risk. Like you're risking a lot, but your gains are going to be huge because maybe it's not huge on one project, but the freedom you're opening up for your future, that is what I wish people would see is it's not just deal to deal. It's take on a deal and maybe not make as much as you wanted, but the gains in education and learning and experience, it's far more valuable than the money that you'll get from that because when you finally feel ready and you take on this great project that has a great spread, if you don't have those skills of how a flip goes or like what could go wrong, how to pivot, where's your teams, your systems in place, that could be more costly than one flip that you didn't make any money off of, but you just had a lot of education on. I think if you ask investors, some of the best deals that they did were the ones that they failed at because that's where they learned a lot. So that big one actually succeeded and it went really well. And that stepped them up to the next level of investing and more financial freedom.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think when when you're stuck in a trap of taking education after, I'm a big fan. All of my most valuable education has come from investing in things not related to college. Like the alternative things where I got to go learn from people who were actually doing the things that I
Yeah,
wanted to do. Right. And so
totally.
I'm a big fan of the alternative education that comes from people who are taking their experience, packaging it up into some kind of mentoring, and then sharing that information. I've seen
Absolutely.
tons of success with that. And when someone keeps looking for the next thing that will be the key to get started, that tells me that there's something much deeper going on, because there's like a conversation of, I'm not capable enough. I don't know enough. And it's taking the information you get and applying it, even if it's not perfectly executed. Like, I don't know any investor that would tell you that the first deal, any entrepreneur, the first thing they did went exactly as they thought, smoothly like they thought. But it's the next level of experience that you get in going through the process. So who do you work with specifically at Conventus?
I have a wide variety. And I choose it like that because I could choose not to work with entry level or newbies because most lenders don't want to deal with it. Just it's new. There's a lot more to it. But I like that group. So I spend a lot of time teaching in different groups to help educate, help people understand lending, how to understand how to shop us. When people meet me, and I love people, so you just innately build relationships, but I still tell those clients that I'm really close with that, make sure you're shopping around, like tell me what other people are looking or their rates are and how it's going, because that's how we all stay competitive. So I teach kind of like how to vet lenders and then different types of lending. So those entry levels, I love, like there's a place for you guys. We can't do the work for you. Like it still has to be a lot of people are like, can you tell me if this is a good deal? And
you still got to make that decision.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's not my job. But we work all the way through people that are doing, their portfolios are massive, doing 3 to 4 deals a month.
And this is specifically for properties that can be purchased, rehabbed, and then resold or refinanced, correct?
Well, yes, but even more than that. So we'll do the bridge loan, the fix and flip loan. But we do ground up construction, which is actually my favorite part of it. Like I love those deals because it's creating something and it's exciting. And then we do the DSCR steps. So that's all for the rentals, the operators in the short-term space. So anything for that long-term hold position. So basically, if you flip it and want to hold it as a rental, we do those loans as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And any experience level?
Any experience. So there's only 3 things us hard lenders look at when we lend to you. We look at you and your FICO. Like we want to know, like, do you pay your bills? We look at your experience. And like I said, 0 is okay, but we look at like where you are in your journey. And then we look at the deal and the risk of the deal, the location, like how much work it needs. As many people think, like the jumpier houses are the better for us as a lender. And not exactly, like we love them and we'll lend on them, but there's definitely a threshold of like how bad it could be when we take it on. So we only look at those 3 things if we can lend to you. So it's very small, but pricing and how much we can do and our risk tolerance is really dependent on those 3 factors.
Do you have a limit on the amount of loans you'll do to a person?
We don't. I imagine at some point, I think Brenda has some clients that might be at that, but they're probably doing their whole like exposure is probably over like 20 million with us. Our money cycles through fast though, so that kind of with her investors, like she has some that are just uber up there, like top tier. I have some that are in like the 10 million portfolio with us. Oh, like 6 or 7 loans. We've never had any issues with capping that or anything like that.
And the reason I bring that up is, so I hear 2 things all the time from my clients who are investing in real estate or those that want to get into investing in real estate is, I can't find a deal, which is funny. Now, I don't want to say it's funny. I think a majority of people who've got into investing during a time when it was like pretty easy to find a deal because appreciation was you didn't have to buy it at a deep discount because appreciation was supporting you. Well, now that's not necessarily supporting as much. And so it's more important to find something that you can buy at a deep discount. Those properties are still there. All the distresses are still there. You just have to work for it now. Yeah. And you're not going to find it on the MLS. You're going to have to do all the things that I used to teach 20 years ago about where to go and find the deal,
Yeah.
and make sure you build the relationships with your city and the code enforcement, and look for people who have distressing situations, all of those things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Number two, there's not enough money. And I always say money follows great deals.
It does.
So find the deal and the money will follow.
Well,
And
yeah.
you're telling me, like, yeah, in traditional financing, you will kind of cap out in like the amount of money that you can access. So you've got to go look for these alternative types of lenders. The main world is not designed for people to break out of and become wealthy. Like your main banking, your main way of finding real estate, that's not designed for people creating wealth.
Yeah. No, and it's unfortunate. 100%. And I think many people don't want to jump over into the entrepreneurial lane because of the fear or the risk or what we've been ingrained of, like, that's not the way you support family. Like, that's not stable enough. Like, what do you do for insurance? Like, there's so many things I've heard of why. And it's sad, but I think more people are getting it because there's so much to give. And I watched a podcast the other night, and the guy on there was super successful, and he was talking about like deals. And one thing that got like sparked me, and I've heard it before, but he was like, it doesn't matter if a deal goes bad if the risk was $30,000 or $100,000. You basically, the deal goes bad, you lose it, or you don't make any money, and you start over. Both times. Like, there's no difference in a huge deal what happens when things don't go perfect versus a smaller deal. So people that are saying like, that's too risky for me, or too, like the same exact outcome, you restart and you start over. And I thought that was powerful.
I think, and I agree with you. And it's interesting because so often people's brain will carry with them the failure.
Yeah.
And then they're either going to say, wow, I learned all this, and the next time I do a deal, I'm actually smarter. So I'm not the same person. So I'm not going to create the same result. Or they're going to retract and be in a scarcity conversation and then get even more risk intolerant.
Yeah.
And I think that people really need to understand that when you have a failure, you process the failure as learning.
Yep.
Versus scarcity. And I think that's really important for people, which is what you did.
Yeah, it is. It is. And one of the things, but it took me, I'm telling you, I was mourning. I mean, the whole world was, I lost this and I lost that.
When did you decide, like, screw this, I'm not going to be this person that is victim to the circumstances that are happening?
Well, to be honest, things couldn't have happened more for my life the way that I was supposed to live. And Brenda probably doesn't realize how impactful she was, and not the business wise. But the next day I called. I probably would have called any job that my friend had suggested. I needed something. So, but I called Brenda the next day and we talked, and her entire mentality is 100% different than what I've ever been around. Ever. I was around athletes and sports. It was very hard nosed and work hard, get what you worked for. Like, it was just a different outcome or a different mentality. And she was so like refreshing. She was so uplifting. I mean, I was like, I don't even know you, and you already make me feel good about myself. And I just think at the time, like, that is what I really needed, obviously. And to have her be that person that was going to now lead me through the next part of my life, like, it was almost like God was like, this is going to really be hard, but here's like an angel, and she's going to
That's
like
what I was
really help you.
thinking. It's like an angel.
And she would never, like, she's so humble too. And she was amazing for me. And business wise, yeah, she's smart. Like, she's one of the top lenders and for years now. Like, she's amazing as a lender, but just as like a person, the reflection of her mentality, and like, first time I'd ever really like put a name to abundant living was hearing her talk, because I definitely felt I was living it and my mentality wanted that. And I believed that, but I wasn't actually living that because I wasn't living abundantly in my world. I was living way scarcity. So hearing her like speak on that and kind of like, wait, that puzzle piece was what I was missing. It was almost like that's exactly what I needed. And so, I mean, she's not like a mentor. We don't, she never was like that person for me, but I definitely like having her as my calm, or just kind of helping me peacefully like transition into like this new world. And she was so grateful. I mean, I was like, what does that mean? I mean, probably every conversation, I was like, I'm not sure what that meant. I'm not, like it was, she was constantly teaching me and she did it so kindly because it wasn't easy. Like I was 40 and really had I played college sports. So that's who I was in college. Then I get married and I'm succeeding and I had all these labels. And at this moment in my life, like I had no more labels. I basically I was like rock bottom.
You know what? I love it. This is such a great testament. Like you don't have to actually do it alone.
No.
You did something really powerful at the lowest moment in your life. I mean, I'm not sure it's the lowest moment, but maybe
Pretty low.
for you is
it's
like
pretty
low, right? Is you don't have to know what to do. You just had to make the call. And the prayer
So
was
true.
answered, right? And so I tell people that all the time. It's like, you can not know what to do. You can be at that moment and just reaching your hand out for the support to pull you up. Like sometimes that's all it takes to change everything.
Yeah, it really did. Because I think I could have sat there for all of COVID and just complained about my situation and maybe done something even more drastic that was not healthy for me or my family. Like it was really low. So I'm so grateful. I had that manager that I called not been Brenda and maybe somebody else that was really like not as kind or not as like understanding or even, and she really wasn't. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like I wasn't like, here's all my drama. But I think she just recognized that this was going to be a so unique situation because most of her people are really young when they start with her.
Yeah.
And so it was just great. Like, and to this day, I'm very grateful. Like, she still is definitely somebody that when I'm struggling or things are like rocky, like she's always got great advice. She's always like my calm in the storm to talk to industry wise and just kind of in this world. So yeah, like I could have done it better.
There are things in this world. I don't know why they happen the way they happen. I don't know why certain things work, but I don't have to be able to explain it. I don't have to have the science behind it. I just follow it or know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it was an accident. I like to believe that it was all in the right timing and it was all how it was supposed to unfold. And it's led you to where you are today, helping these individuals really change their life in a way that is meaningful to them and fulfilling for you. And I just think that is so powerful. So I have to wrap this up and I could talk to you all day, but where do people find you?
Well, I want to think I'm everywhere, but if you can't find me, I try to do really good on Instagram. I have a great link tree with different things people are looking for. My email is mkorda@cvlending.com. And then my Instagram, I should have made it shorter, but it's melissakorda.lender.re.
melissakorda.lender.re. Okay. I'll make sure we link it too so that people can find you in the show notes for sure.
Okay.
Any final words?
No, I loved what you said about just do. I think it's so simple, but it's so difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's hard to just do without knowing why or if it will work. And I think we need to do that a little bit more, especially as women. I think we're just really we think things through too sometimes. So just do. And I'm going to take that with me today about just do and just be excited for what could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So with all of that being said, I'm sending you so much love. And if Jonathan were here, he would say, be well. Thanks for listening to the Conscious Edge podcast. Make sure you subscribe and take a moment to be kind and share this episode with someone you care about. Leave a review to help us bring more compassionate leaders building businesses and creating wealth to the table. And for show notes, head over to consciousedge.com/podcast. This podcast and the linked materials are presented solely for general information, educational, and entertainment purposes and should not be taken as personal or medical advice or any kind of mental health treatment. Please consult a medical or mental health professional if you feel you need such services. Please be advised that all investing and entrepreneurial endeavors involve risk and the use of the education and information on this podcast and linked materials is at the user's own risk.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.